The Washington Wizards are going to be making Kyle Kuzma available via trade. Is it a good move or a bad move by the front office? And Capital One was actually voted one of the most dangerous arenas in the NBA. Does it deserve that title? Next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, and I appreciate you guys making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. So, everybody, today we got a lot to talk about today. The Washington Wizards have made Kyle Kuzma available to other teams via trade. So we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, the good, the bad, and the ugly about that, and whether the Wizards should make a move or why they shouldn't make a move. And Capital One, from a report from Fox News, or Fox 5 that is, was voted in the top 10 most dangerous arenas in the NBA. Is it a deserving title? We're definitely going to talk about that. So before we get into the news about Kyle Kuzma being made available via trade to other teams, this is a report via Wizards insider Troy Halliburton. So definitely shout out to my guy, Troy Halliburton, Wizards insider, man, really good dude, man. And he said that Brian Keefe is the leader in the clubhouse for the Wizards head coaching vacancy, and the team should be making, an official hire before the end of the month. So again, everybody, like I said, when I get the news, I'm definitely going to shoot it you guys' way, man. But this kind of echoes what a lot of us have been saying, man, as far as NBA analysts and people who analyze the Washington Wizards, that, and especially if you look at the comments by the players and even the front office at the exit interviews at the end of the season for the Wizards, a lot of people like Brian Keefe. He's done well as far as making up for the deficiencies of Wes Unseld Jr., making adjustments, definitely getting the best out of his roster, creating an atmosphere and culture in the locker room that, promotes a team atmosphere that wants betterment in playing, definitely playing hard and, people getting along. So definitely he created a great culture. So I definitely think that he definitely should be the candidate to get the job. But like I said, that is via Wizards insider Troy Halliburton, that they will be making a decision about the official hiring of the new head coach by the end of the month. And looking at the fact that it is the 23rd of the month is coming up. So again, shout out to my guy, Troy Halliburton, Wizards insider. Again, really good guy. If you don't follow him on X, definitely consider doing so, because a lot of news comes out of his way. Like I said, he gets a lot of the news that a lot of people do not get. So let's get into it, everybody. The Washington Wizards have officially made Kyle Kuzma available on the trade market. So we're going to look at a report real quick, and this is through Jake Fisher, Yahoo Sports, and but this is also through Evan Siddery on X, but the official source is Jake Fisher, or Jake L. Fisher, that is. And it says, quote unquote, the Wizards will make Kyle Kuzma available on the trade market per Jake L. Fisher. Washington was seeking 2 first-round picks for Kuzma at the trade deadline, but it's unknown if the price has dropped or not. All right, let's get into this, man. So should they or should they not move Kyle Kuzma? And as you guys know how I roll, man, I'm going to look at every perspective. Like, right now it is a hot topic. There's, like everything else in Wizards Twitter or even in the Wizards fan base, people are divided, and that's pretty much like it is all the time with most subjects. But a lot of people are divided, And let me start by saying this: I am a Kyle Kuzma fan. Wasn't big on him when he was with the Lakers. When he came over from Washington, you saw a guy who turned himself into a complete player. Going from a role player to a complete player. He bringing his championship experience with a championship run in 2020 with the Los Angeles Lakers. He came in ready to work. He's done a lot of work on the court and off the court as far as, doing a lot of stuff for the community, not only the Washington, D.C. area, but also in his hometown of Flint, Michigan. He is a Flintstone, a proud Flintstone at that. So he's done a lot off the court, which, I definitely love about him. And like I said, he's been a leader for this team. He's been a consistent 20 points plus a game score for this team. And he's done, like I said, he's become a complete player here, and the organization has given him a lot of leeway to be the number one scoring threat and to be able to be that complete player, and rightfully so. Now, saying that, I am very high on Kyle Kuzma. Like I said, I have appreciated what he's done on and off the court. Now, should they move him, and why shouldn't they move him? Okay, let's start with why shouldn't they move him? Okay, for, kind of the same reasons I just talked about. Leadership role. Some people said they don't see him as a leader. You know, I do see him as a leader in his locker room. You've definitely seen cases where he's been a leader. Now he's not the only leader. Obviously, if you look at people like Anthony Gill, you've seen Jordan Poole step up and take on leadership roles. You've seen Denny Aviat, step up and take leadership roles. But, Kyle Kuzma came right in and he definitely was that guy, a calming experience, because we had a lot of turmoil early when he got traded here from the Los Angeles Lakers when Russell Westbrook was sent to the Lakers, when he came over with Trez Harrell and KCP. And you know what? He was one of the, you saw a lot of issues in the locker room, and he was not one of those guys you didn't see a lot of issues. And he was a guy who tried to rally your guys and he tried to talk to young players. And so I did see a leadership factor from Kyle Kuzma. Again, consistent source of points. And looking at other factors, looking at his contract. Now, looking at his contract, and this is via Sport Track, my go-to source, your go-to source for any information pertaining to contracts. And looking at his contract situation, this season coming up, he will be earning $23.5 million. And of course, it goes down from there. In his age 30 season, which will be the 2025 to 2026 season, it will go down to 21.4. And then his last year here in DC at age 31, it would be 19.4. So it's a very team-friendly contract. So, it's not breaking the bank. It's not going to inhibit us. And it really, it is not going to inhibit us from making any kind of roster moves, but I don't foresee us making many roster moves from the get. Obviously we're not going to be very active in free agency. Most of the roster moves made on this team is going to be via the draft or via trade. I don't see us being very active in free agency. So I don't think the cap hit is really going to be a big deal in my opinion. So, he checks all boxes on why he should stay. His contract is very, very team friendly. He has been great as far as being a leader, being a consistent scorer for this team. And, he's done a lot off the court as far as charitable, because when you look at other players who I really love in DC, obviously John Wall, Bradley Beal, they were very, very big in the community. And like I said, I like that, man. I definitely like to see these players, be very active in the DC community, if not the DMV community, whether it's PG County, Maryland, or Northern Virginia. I definitely like to see them active, helping people that can't help themselves. And I like seeing that from Kyle Kuzma. I love seeing that for Bradley Beal. And that was a big thing about John Wall, in my opinion. Why should he get traded? Okay, fair enough. Play style. Let's talk about on the court production. Yes, he is a 20-point plus a night scorer. Efficiency has been an issue. And, he's been, not so much in the later stages of the season, but at times in the early part of the season, the first half, ISO heavy play, efficiency, taking a lot of shots. Yes, he could score 20 plus, but at times it did take a lot of shots to get there. So obviously looking at the fact that we are going to year 2 of a rebuild, emphasis has to be scouting and development. We have to find ways to get other people involved, to make other people better, especially when you're looking at Denny, Bilal, Corey Kispert, and potentially Johnny Davis. So, one thing that I mentioned, as far as if Kyle Kuzma stays, what was I looking for as far as changing some things about his game? Easy, finding ways to make other people better, to get other people involved. And I asked them that question at the exit interview. What part of your game personally do you want to attain next? You're an NBA champion, you're a leader in the locker room here in DC. And he said himself, I want to find ways to get other people more involved. So he identifies he has to get other people involved. So, if he stays, that is something I'm looking at, is that we know what Kyle Kuzma can do. And Kuz, if you watch the show, we know what you can do, bro. You can score. You do well utilizing your size to be that scorer, attacking the rim. You can shoot, even though at times very heavily dependent on the jump shot, but he is that consistent 20 points a game plus scorer for us. So, but other teams see that too, right? So that's why he can be, that's other teams they're going to want to add a guy like that to their team, right? The fact that he has a very team-friendly contract, and the fact that he can be a consistent source of points, other teams are going to want that. They're going to want a player like that to add to a team that needs a piece or two to make a run for the playoffs or contention for a championship. So he is definitely a hot commodity as far as value. Now, the report was at the deadline that they were seeking 2 first-round picks. And I don't see that happening. I don't see that as being a realistic ask. And you very well could see the asking price go down. It could very well be a first-round pick and maybe a player in return. I do think he has value. And like I said, like, this is a hot topic, and 99.9% of you guys, man, are very respectful. And then, as you guys know, man, I like dialogue. I like chop. Even if we disagree, I like to chop it up about talking basketball with people, man. And there's been a few comments where people kind of being a little rude, and it is what it is. And I ain't sweating, man, because what you eat don't make me poop. But here's the thing, man. I like Kuz and all that, but this is not a popularity contest. And it's kind of getting to one point is that I like Kuz. He's been good for his team, in my opinion, in DC. But looking at this, how the roster is constructed, he is the most tradable asset, whether you like it or not. He is the most tradable asset. And you can look at Jordan Poole, but right now, what is his value as far as he does he have a little bit of value because he responded in the second half of the season? Yeah, he would have a little bit of value. But when you compare him to Kyle Kuzma is probably the one guy on the roster that has the most trade value. So anybody who's upset about the prospect of trading Kyle Kuzma, I don't quite understand that, because the NBA is a business. And when the contract was signed, it was known that eventually, because it was such a team-friendly deal, it was a contract that, one, was not going to bog the Wizards down as they try to scout and develop young talent. Two, when the time comes to move him, it's a very tradable contract. And that's why Will Dawkins and Michael Winger and Travis Schlenk were so callous in signing him to such a team-friendly deal, which it helps both sides. It helps us because it's not a contract that's going to bog us down, and we're able to, have a player where he's good in the locker room. He's a source of points, and, we can have him as a starter, and he can eat and he can be that guy in DC while we scout and develop the next round of players who could potentially take his spot. Two, when the time comes to trade him, the contract is so team friendly, it's a very tradable contract. So it works both in Kyle's favor, in our favor, and in the favor of teams who potentially will be looking to, to trade for him. So it's a win-win for all parties, man. So like I said, it's not a popularity contest. And like I said, yeah, there's players that I do like. Now, I am an NBA analyst, and overall, I'm very unbiased. I will throw smoke anywhere that is warranted. I'm not going to talk anybody personally. I'm not going to go anything about the personal lives, anything, any criticisms about on-court production or lack of production, right? But yeah, I mean, we are people, right? We do like certain players. I was a Daniel Gafford fan, and while I saw that he was a tradable asset, was it hard, especially getting, talking to him a few times, as far as having media credentials, yeah, because he's a very likable person. But look, man, these guys are going to be, they're going to be traded. They're going to be released. That's the nature of the business. That's the nature of the beast, man. So, anybody who's really taking it personal to the point where you're getting disrespectful, I don't understand that, because the NBA is a business, man. So, do I think that Kyle Kuzma should get moved? I'll say this. If the deal is a really good deal, you make that move. You make that move, because right now, the biggest thing is scouting and development. Getting these young guys in a position where they can contribute in the future, man. And while you don't necessarily need to move Kyle Kuzma, because you don't, if you find the right move or the right deal, you do make that move. You know what I mean? Because eventually you're going to have to make that move. And me personally, I don't see us getting 2 first round picks, and I don't necessarily see his value getting any higher than it is right now. Because yes, he's a 20-point plus a night scorer, but that defensively, he's not the worst defender we have. He actually an average defender. He's actually not a bad defender, but I just don't see his value getting much higher, man. So if the right deal comes along, yes, you make that move. And if it doesn't, don't feel pressed to make that move. So I'm very 50-50. Like I said, eventually we're gonna have to move him, and I think we all know that, man. Eventually we're gonna have to move Kuz, but don't feel compelled to have to do so just to do so. But if you find the right deal, especially for draft capital, you make that move, because we're going into year 2 of a rebuild. And with the emergence of Jenny Avia, in my opinion, I think we have a guy who can pick up the slack being that guy. And when combined with Jordan Poole, you have a couple guys who I think are emerging as leaders, man. So if you look at that, losing Kuz, losing a leadership role, I see that. And I do agree that to a certain degree. But, you have guys who are willing to step up, be those guys going into a year of a rebuild. And I think that, if you move Kyle Kuzma, that puts more pressure on Jordan Poole and Jenny Avia to fill that void as far as being leaders, man. So because those two are definitely the guys you're looking to, if not in the very near future, being leaders for this team going forward in DC. So that's my spill on everything, everybody. Like I said, I like Kuz, man, and this is a hot topic right now, and I feel like eventually you're going to have to move him, but don't move him just to move him, but you move him for the right deal. But you have to get into your head that eventually he's going to get moved, man. So, like I said, it's nothing against Kuz. Like I said, that we often find ourselves in a society in sports where any criticism people deem as like you don't like somebody. It's not about that at all, man. It's about looking at the NBA for what it is. It is a business. It's a business at the end of the day, and you have to look at it through the lens of a businessman. I am an analyst, man. So I'm looking at everything through the lens of a businessman, and I'm very unbiased because again, I do like Kuz, and I think that he's been great here in DC, and it's been cool watching him develop here in DC, and it has. And I love seeing him in his uniform, man. But eventually, he is going to be moved, and if you find a right deal, you make that move. So definitely comment below. Let me know what you're thinking, and we're definitely going to chop it up like we always do. So we're going to get into Capital One. Fox 5 says that Capital One is amongst the top 10 most dangerous arenas. Do I agree with that? We're going to talk about it. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. So when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. Because look, LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So, let you know a little background about myself. Like, and most of you guys know, I got out the United States Army in 2011, and I've had certain jobs, government jobs, state government jobs, and LinkedIn had a lot to do with that, man. They definitely help you with your resume, which I was very ignorant on how to establish a resume. My dad helped a lot, but LinkedIn really, helped me, build a resume and become an attractable asset to a lot of small businesses, man. So whether it was, federal government, whether it was working for state, I was able to find a lot of jobs who appreciated my skill set, right? Because it ain't all easy being an 11 Bravo or an infantryman coming out of the Army, man. So they definitely helped me with my job experiences. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day long? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. All right, everybody, let's get back into it. And this is a story that came out through Fox 5. And it came out actually yesterday at around 8:37 p.m. And it says, quote unquote, Capital One Arena, home to the Washington Wizards and the Capitals, has been named one of the most dangerous NBA arenas, according to a recent report by BetTennessee.com. And let me stop there. There's a lot of news coming out by betting websites, so I don't know what they're betting on, man, but apparently they bet on a little bit of everything. So, Lord. So getting back into it, the ranking is based on several factors, including crime rates in the surrounding area and fan behavior, which I haven't really seen our fans get that crazy. But the report, which used data from neighborhoodscout.com, crimegrade.org, and Reddit's subreddit or NBA subreddit, evaluated the crime index, fan behavior, and crime grades specific to the neighborhoods where the NBA arenas are located. So it says the Capital One Arena is ranked 8th among the top 10 most dangerous NBA arenas with a total crime score of 45. This places it alongside other arenas in cities with high crime rates, such as Cleveland Cavaliers Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and the Indiana Pacers Gainbridge Fieldhouse. So let's dig into this. Do I think that it's deserving? And you guys know me, man. I'm very honest, and I keep it 100 in my assessments, and I'm gonna say yeah. And as much as I love DC, like I said, I'm from Virginia, and I've shown a lot of love to DC. I've traveled to DC so much over the years, man, especially when I was a child. So I've always been a lover of the Washington DC area, man. I've loved everything about DC. It's my city, man. But let's be 100, everybody. And we're going to keep it relatively to sports. I'm not going to get too political about it, but let's be 100 about this. For anybody who's been to a Wizards game, whether it's through Metro or you drive in, which I drive in all the time, the surrounding area is a little suspect. You definitely have certain types of characters around the area, man. One thing you notice, especially on certain areas of the building, there's a prevalent smell of marijuana smoke. Now, nothing against smoking marijuana. Obviously, it's legal in DC. It's legal-ish in Virginia. I'm an U.S. Army vet, so you kind of put two and two together. But especially the fact that I'm an Iraq vet, so I've gone through my fair share of medicines, right? So I'm just going to end it there. But I don't think that marijuana is a bad thing, but I think that if you're a parent who's taking their kids to an NBA game, man, walking through a cloud of marijuana smoke isn't the most attractive thing, man. And so there's things that needs to change about the Capital One Arena. Now, is Washington D.C. as a city in Capital One that's much more dangerous than other cities like Philadelphia? I don't think so. New York City, let's be real. I mean, New Orleans. I mean, come on, you kind of see where I'm going with this. Like most major cities, Chicago, LA. I mean, most major cities have elements of crime, and that's just what it is, man. Now, DC, at one time DC was the murder cap, but it's not, and that's a big reason why we are the Wizards, not the Bullets. But do I agree to a certain degree? Yes, I do. Obviously, Chinatown is an area where, and like I said, I ain't getting into politics. I'm not gonna get into the mayor and all this, but I'm gonna say this: that if ownership, if Ted Leonsis, because he's in DC now, the move to Virginia was nixed, so you're in Virginia. So to improve the situation in Capital One, to bring a lot more fans into the building, I think that together with Ted Leonsis and Monumental Sports, with the mayor's office of Mayor Muriel Bowser, I think they're going to have to put a lot more money and effort into revitalizing Chinatown. And, they definitely going to have to fix some things, man. Like I said, you get kind of different vibes around Capital One. There's some areas of the building where, it's not a big deal. There's some areas where you have, people that are intoxicated, man. Let's be real. Like you got people that are high as a kite. I mean, it's just, so there's things that needs to change. So I don't think the report was brutal in its assessment. And I think that, Capital One, also if you look at Capital One, it's rated probably one of the worst NBA arenas as far as, and that's a big reason why they're getting that money from the mayor's office to renovate Capital One, because, it's one of those arenas where if you look at the top 10 worst arenas, very often than not, you see Capital One on that list. So you definitely, by saying that, you're definitely going to have to put some money and time into revitalizing Chinatown and definitely making it an environment where people want to bring their family. And that's just being 100 about it, man. And it goes to the mayor's office and it goes to ownership, is that you have to make it that area, attractable to the family environment. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's out of shortcomings. And, the reason why these things are prevalent in DC, that's a whole nother conversation. And this really isn't the platform to talk about that. Obviously, it goes into the political side of everything. And it's not really what I'm here to talk about. But I would agree. I mean, the things need to change as far as, from ownership standpoint and from, the mayor's office, that, make the area an attractable place to go to bring your family, to go on a date, man, and like I said, the issues with crime is not something that's just specific to DC. And I think it's unfair to really make it to where DC is the one of the worst. It's not, in my opinion, because keep it 100 with you guys, man. I've been to almost every dangerous city in this country, man. I've been to some jacked up spots, man. And you know what? I mean, Memphis, I mean, I was more I'm not gonna say terrified, man, but I was more leery about going to Memphis or Little Rock, Arkansas than I was Washington, D.C. I'm just going to keep it 100, man. I was more on guard going to Philly than I was Washington, D.C. And I think the way any major city, just, looking around, using common sense, you'll be all right, man. But I do, but the report to me wasn't really being brutal. I think it's being very honest. So I think there's changes need to be made, man, because obviously you want more people in the fan base to come to games. And like I said, this fan base, we're getting there, man. I definitely want to see us get more, get more excited, definitely, get some dog in us, man, because, we definitely want to see this team get back to contention. And you definitely want to see this team, as far as the fan base, get back to being a very loyal fan base to really follow. And it is, man. This is a really good fan base, man. Like I said, this is one of the better fan bases as far as sports overall, whether it's the Capitals, whether it's the Wizards, whether it's the Nationals, whether it's the Commanders. This is a loyal sports city. And I think that a little more respect has to be put on Washington, D.C. as far as being more of a sports city. When you think of sports, you often think of Boston, Philadelphia, New York, L.A. But I think Washington, D.C., we should definitely be in that tier as far as being a sports city, because like I said, I'm a VA guy, man, but I've always had a lot of love for DC, man. I always had a lot of love. And shout out to all my DC residents who followed the show. Got a lot of love for y'all. You guys know that, man. So like I said, this is a really diverse fan base, and we have, and we get people from the Tidewater. Like I said, I got family links to the Tidewater. My daughter lives down there, man. So like I said, coming out of the Newport News, Hampton, Portsmouth, shout out to y'all, man. So I got a lot of love for everybody, man. VA, PG County, Maryland, the whole nine. It's very diverse, but I think we all come together to really we all love this team, man. So, um, do I think it was a brutal assessment? No. It just tells us where we stand, and we definitely have to get better in trying to make Capital One somewhere that's exclusive to everybody, man. There's certain things have to change, and I'm gonna end it there. And like I said, I don't think that marijuana is a bad thing. I don't think but I think we need to treat it like alcohol, right? You can't drink on the streets. Don't smoke an L on the streets, man. So that's all I'm saying. So that's where I'm kind of going to end it there, man. But so we're gonna get into a few more things before we do, but and I see I'm getting emotional here. So we're gonna get a few more things before we call it a night. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. So as you guys know, man, I'm a big catalyst as far as counseling, man. Like I said, it's been taboo for a long time in the U.S., man, about talking to a counselor. But I don't think it's a taboo so much, man, because I can't recommend it enough to talk to somebody. I've had my fair share of issues, man, from childhood, from serving in Iraq to just certain things, man. And talking to somebody helps. Let me tell y'all, man. So if you guys are thinking about starting therapy, please give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, which are big reasons why people don't get into counseling, right? Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge, which is also a really key ingredient. So look, all you have to do is get it off your chest with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. And for my fellow Army veterans, HotelEchoLimaPapa.com/LockedOnNBA. So, all right, everybody. To give everybody kind of an itinerary, we went over a lot tonight. I'll give you an itinerary for the next couple of weeks. We're gonna look at a couple of positions in need. We're gonna look at point guard Isaiah Collier and other point guards. Nikola Topic is definitely somebody I'm gonna look at. Some, hate him or love him. He may be a guy that the Wizards are looking at number 2. We're gonna look at the center position. Looking at where at the center out of Indiana. So we're definitely gonna do a lot more draft stuff. And like I said, we should at the end of the month get news about who the Washington Wizards officially hired for head coach. So we're definitely gonna go live when the announcement is formally made, and we're gonna celebrate or cry depending on if you like the move or not. So again, before we roll, let me say this, man. I want to say this real quick before we roll. For everybody is that at the end of the video, shout out to y'all, man. Big transition for myself. Obviously, Ed, my longtime co-host for 2 years, is no longer on the show, man. And it's been a transition for me. I'm very hard on myself. I'm very self-conscious. I mean, there's many times where I do videos that I don't feel like I really did the best. And you guys quickly tell me that this is good content, and it means a lot. It means a lot that you guys enjoy my content. The numbers are going up. The channel's growing. And I've said this the last 2 years with me and Ed here, and I'm going to say it now that I'm solo. This channel has grown. This channel is successful because of you guys and the support you have. And I put the effort I do. I've made the progress I had, because I don't know how many people remember when I first started. That was very raw, man. I used a lot of repetitive words. I used a low income mic and a camera. I was very primitive in the beginning, and it took a while for me to not only work on my craft as an NBA analyst, as a podcaster, as somebody, especially getting media credentials, going in there talking to players. My capabilities have gotten better, and it's all because of you guys, man. I don't have the success without you guys. And obviously, shout out to my man, the Red Oliver, man. If you're watching E-Man, you already know we got a lot of love for you, brother, man. And a lot of this, a lot of my success stems with him because he gave me that chance, man, in the Locked On Podcast Network. So I kind of want to end the show like that, man, because I appreciate you guys, man. So definitely, so I'm gonna end it there, man. I hope everybody has a blessed night. Like, again, I got a lot of love for you guys, so definitely love you guys, man. And thank you for taking time out of your day to hear me blabber about the Washington Wizards, man. So, a lot of you guys say I know what I'm talking about, and I appreciate that, because I am very hard on myself. And like I said, when there's times where I feel like I'm not doing a good job, you guys quickly really make me feel like I'm doing a great job, and I appreciate you, man. So, like I said, tomorrow night, live Q&A. So I'm gonna come up with a live topic. So we're gonna start off with the topic, and we'll chop it up Friday night like we always do. So Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the Free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts at Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the Free Fire TV channels app. All right, everybody, like I said, appreciate you guys, man. So I will see you guys tomorrow night at 7 o'clock for our live topic episode. And again, everybody have a blessed night, and I will see you guys tomorrow night. Hail to the Wizards and peace.